Children from all over the world are being forced to do paid or unpaid work that is harmful to them. Unfortunately, it adversely affects their physical, mental, social, and educational development. There are 218 million child laborers aged between 5 to 17 by the time of 2020. 152 million of these children are working under hazardous conditions over the globe. Approximately 8 million of them are boys and 64 million of them are girls. The number of products from our daily life that use child labor in production is unimaginably high. Child labor is used in production of almost everything, starting from cocoa and coffee to cotton and rubber. In the worst forms of child labor, children are forced to work with dangerous machinery in an environment of toxic chemicals. This leaves huge negative impact on their health and lowers their life expectancy very significantly. More than 1/4 of all hazardous child labor is done by children less than 12 years old. Bad economic situation in developing countries forces families to send their children to work at a very early age, making it impossible for them to receive an adequate education. 19% of child labor victims live in low-income countries, 1% in developed, and the majority 80% in developing countries. As a result, former child laborers are much more likely to have only primary education at best and are more likely to be involved in low-paying jobs. Though it might seem like it, but child labor problem is not exclusive for developing countries only. More than 2 million children in developed countries are victims of child labor. Child laborers in some countries have been found to work an average of 64 hours a week. In the worst cases, this number goes up to 100 hours a week. Forced labor is thought to generate around $150 billion a year in illegal profits. This uncontrolled segment of economy attracts more and more large businesses, which contributes to the worsening of the problem. Despite the fact that modern world has developed technologies to minimize human involvement in process of manufacturing, child labor is still allowed to exist. This is one of the biggest violations of human rights worldwide. Child labor is a physically harmful work that obstructs mental development of children and deprives them of their childhood, potential, and dignity. Children need to be given the opportunity to have childhood and develop their abilities in a positive environment if we are to guarantee healthy future generations. Failure to provide children with such an environment will lead to much more serious problems than we currently face. The most common types of child labor are debt bondage, child trafficking, involvement in armed conflicts, and work in hazardous environments. As the world became more aware and horrified by the prevalence of child labor, the number of child laborers worldwide has dropped from 245 million to 168 million between 2000 and 2012. Most effective way to stop companies from using child labor is to stop buying their products and using their services. It's inhuman to use child labor for making profit. It's hard to raise the awareness of people regarding child labor unless they see it for themselves, so please let your friends, colleagues, and family members know about this problem. Fair trade products are produced without the use of child labor. Buying these kind of products may encourage companies worldwide to stop using child labor in production of their goods. It's not hard to spend less than a minute to check if the product is fair trade labeled or not, but if we can save one child's life with this, then it's definitely worth it. By consuming products that were produced with child labor, we involuntarily become part of this abhorrent practice. Let us stop child labor.